Hello, I wish I had something to feed you. You just came right up, didn't you? Oh my goodness. Here, you want some water? Sweetheart. Get your friend over there? Suspicious of me? You two are beautiful. Namaste, duckies. I got some tail wag. You weren't sure at first, but now you're wagging your tail, so that's what's up. We're friends. I'm gonna go do some Qigong. Greetings, Namaste, and welcome to Astrology Awakening. This is a June transit edition where I'm going to explore how the planets are moving this month, and it's similar to an April transit video I did, except that April transit was madness. There was so much going on then. There's a little less going on now, and a little more in the vein of where we want to go overall as planets begin to settle into their homes, which I will talk about as the sneak preview of what July portends towards the end of the video. So first and foremost, I'm talking to you today on the day Mercury comes out of retrograde, which it's been in for about 3 weeks. Typical retrograde for Mercury. It's a time when we have to slow down to catch up. And spoke about shadow periods in a couple of different videos, Mercury and Saturn retrograde. So I'll talk about shadow periods a little bit in this, but if you're unfamiliar with that concept, I suggest checking those videos out for reference. Right now, what Mercury is doing is kind of getting up to speed and waking up out of a little bit of a slumber, which is kind of how I feel today. So it's a little stormy South Florida day, and I'm feeling this weather vibe right now. So excuse me if I seem a little hazy, but we soldier forward. So this is the beginning of Mercury going direct, and therefore it's a good time to check in with ourselves and anything we've been holding off on that we really wanted to do, especially when it comes to business-oriented things, transactions, finances. I actually talked a little bit in the Mercury Retro video I did about there being a dip in the economy. We definitely experienced a very spike, I would say, in that dip during that period, specifically because Mercury is retrograding in Taurus, which is the natural second house of everyone's bank account. So, I would say that in the near future, it would be a good time to do something if you felt inclined to do so. So Saturn is going to go retro, and I already did a video about that. So if you want to know more, I'm gonna sort of elaborate a bit on how I think this might manifest in the near future. So the first thing I want to explore with Saturn is a concept in Vedic astrology known as the Navamsha chart. And next to your birth chart, which is known as the Kundali, the Navamsha chart is the most essential, crucial chart to understanding your overall astrology, which is the MRI of your soul, is how I refer to it. Astrology is, as you can see, very much a science to me in terms of data points. And in talking about Saturn, the truck is back. He's still lurking, but I think I can manage. I'll muddle through. I was being endlessly harangued by, I think it was a truck, a FedEx truck. This is a garbage truck, so it's like the super troopers have come out for me. And it's cool. It's Saturn. I'm talking about Saturn, which is the planet that signifies restriction, delay, and there you go. So that's how astrology works. And back to it. So the Navamsha is your chart has a Navamsha. Everyone's chart has a Navamsha. Even a day has a Navamsha. And that's the idea of getting a second layer in a reading. The Navamsha is actually, when I show it on the screen, it'll say spouse next to the name of it in the software. And that's because this is the chart that's used once someone comes of age to sort of determine how they actually are with their spouse in a union. And for those who are single indefinitely, it's even better because this is just your chart. This is who you truly are. The idea being that the Navamsha reflects the true nature of the planets. It's a sort of a secondary data set that's even more actually essential to understanding who you are than the birth chart. The birth chart is what you see. It's the veneer. It's the projection. Saturn is the planet of data. Saturn is the planet that will spend an infinity collecting the right perfect amount of data points to set things up for success. Saturn is also the common man, the people who work and keep society going on the streets who are never acknowledged. So blessings to these waste management individuals because they keep shit very nice and tidy in this realm. And so I think he's gone now. But so anyway, so Saturn will be exalted in the Navamsha while actually being in its own house in Aquarius and in Capricorn once it retrogrades back in early July. So what I was saying before in Mercury about doing something maybe you wanted to do, my opinion is this. June is the time to do it because Saturn, when it goes retrograde, kind of takes the restrictions off. Mercury going forward will give you a good sensibility about things. And then in early July, we have Saturn moving back into Capricorn. So the difference between these energies will be thus. Something called a critical degree is important to understanding how Saturn might behave in June as opposed to July going forward. Saturn has been about 1 degree or less in Aquarius since it moved in about a month and a half ago. What this means is that a planet in critical degree, if you have this planet in your chart, it means that it's a young planet, it's a baby planet. At the same time that it might not know exactly what to do when things get real, the critical degree planets can sort of develop a superpower to deal with things. In other words, Saturn might be the most permissive during June, but when the shadow period snaps back and it comes forward, starting in about late October when it goes direct, you might see some extra correction if you were out of line. So I'm not saying go off and do things that are illicit and you can get away with it, because you most def will not. But that being said, June will be, I think, when Saturn allows for the most benevolence in this retrograde, where it kind of role reverses and takes the restrictions and delays off. So blessings to anybody who's trying to optimize things in terms of finances, especially during this tough time. This is the time to do it. Venus will go into Taurus, where Shukra rules, is lord of, on the 17th of June, late night, I believe. And this is going to be a nice settling area for Shukra and Venus, ruler of Taurus. This is the house of home. This is the natural second house. This is where you get your resources from, you get your energy from, and this will be a nice change of pace because Venus has been transiting through Aries after having been exalted in Pisces with Jupiter, which was nice for her. And now Venus will get out of this Aries transit where Shukra has had to hang out with Rahu, the north node of the moon, and Venus and Rahu can bring about some crazy dynamics in relationships, Venus also being the significator of relationships. So once Venus moves into her own house, Taurus, this will be a place where we can get some breath, where Venus can get some breath. And it's a good time to consolidate your resources and your finances. As I was saying before, late June, especially because of Venus being home, will be a good time to do this. Venus moving into Taurus is also very significant overall, because this will be now the third planet to have come out of Kalsarpa. So the last couple of years we've been going through Kalsarpas, and this means that all the planets were on one side of Rahu and Ketu. So this will be Venus's exit from Kalsarpa, and especially because Shukra was in Aries with Rahu, looking at her own house Libra, where Ketu is, and Ketu in Libra is definitely going to, as I mentioned in other videos, shake things and stir things up in relationship dynamics. Business contracts and the like. So Venus looking at K2 has been unsettling, and overall Venus is a significator of relationships. So if you felt a little jangly in relationships or otherwise, look for relief in mid-June when Venus will settle back into her home of Taurus. So Mars, Mangala, will move into its own house of Aries. And this will be a nice transition as well, because Mars will have been posted up with Jupiter in its own house in Pisces for the past couple of months. And on June 26th, we'll move into its house of Aries, where it's that one always gets me, Multrikon. So it's extra strong here in Aries. Mars. And the only issue might be little strange neighbors or roommates in this case. It won't be as much of an issue in the first month, but Mars will be conjunct Rahu in its own house. So it won't be the most pleasant stay for Mars, but what it will do is it will foster action and agency in ways that we might not expect, dynamic, eccentric ways, because that's what Rahu does. And the nakshatra that Mars will be in for this first month, especially, will be Ashwini. And this is the nakshatra of the twin healers. It's known as the twin horses. And this is a great metaphor or analogy for how I like to think of how the soul and the body or the avatar works. You look at the Ashwini twins, they are these powerful gods and represented as horses. And that's very much how I see the human form. We have this incredible gift of horsepower. We are the soul as the rider in a way, utilizing the avatar form, which is the powerful horsepower that helps us get things done in this realm. So the Ashwini nakshatra is a very special nakshatra for Mars to come into for healing purposes, in particular for anybody who's dealing with long-term medical issues. This would be a time to possibly try something new, eccentric, out of the ordinary, because of this Rahu presence here. Rahu will also, for the next year and a half, I believe, be very helpful for healing in general, once it moves into Ashwini, especially in 2023. So Mars can be utilized, especially for blood. Blood is a significator of Mars. Doing things that are strong for the blood, cardiovascular activities, drinking lots of water, and treating your horsepower, tuning your horsepower up is a really special time to do this. It's beginning June 26th, and for the next 2 months that Mars will be transiting through Aries on into August. So finally we come to the Sun, or I'll talk a little bit about Mercury in July, but for June specifically, Sun will make its move on the 14th of June from Taurus into Gemini. So what does this do when Sun moves from the house of Venus to the house where Mercury rules? Well, Mercury is going to be there with the Sun, and this is not unusual. They are traveling companions, as is Venus. These three planets are never going to be more than 2 zodiac signs away from each other. The conjunctions happen frequently enough. So this will be Sun with Mercury in its own house starting in July. Up until then, from mid-June until end of July or beginning of July, Sun will have Gemini to itself. So how does the Sun behave in Gemini? Gemini is a house of media, communications. It's definitely a house where things get shifted up. It's where you have to use your efforts and your courage. So the Sun is definitely a significator of courage. And these combinations of energies may call upon you to have to use your communication abilities to engender your self-efforts in some way. And you will be strengthened, especially in July, by Mercury coming in there where it rules. So now the real treat, kind of the reason why I did this video is almost to do the follow-up video to this. What will happen in early July is kind of a special 10-day experience. Astrologers typically tell you things to look out for, to be wary of. This will be a good 10 days to look to enjoy or plan something special to seed and root for the future. Because what's going to happen is in July 2nd, Mercury will move into Gemini where it rules, and this will complete this sort of perfect flush, if you will, of Saturn, which will actually have moved into Capricorn by then, where it still rules. Jupiter is pretty much the only planet that isn't doing anything through this period. It doesn't it's steady as she goes until late July, and then you have Mars having moved into Aries where it rules, Venus having moved into Taurus where it rules. So it's a very significant July 4th, I think, Independence Day, because every planet will be home in its own home. And particularly because Venus rules the second house of home, this will be a theme. What is your home to you? Do you value where you live? Do you value the values of where you live? Because that's also the second house. And I think it'll be a very good time to, as an individual and as an individual in a community, seek the answers to these questions. And certainly anything that you want to do that's auspicious or benevolent, this is the time to do it. So I wish everyone the best, and look forward to making a follow-up video that explores these 10 days a little bit further. We'll also say that August will be a bit of a hot month when Jupiter goes retrograde and Mars is conjunct Rahu, so I'll also touch on that in some future videos. Until then, namaste everyone, heads on a swivel and stay frosty, enjoy yourselves.